Hi, I'm Brianna Packen with A Distinctive Style magazine. I have the good fortune today of being here with Mr. Peter Shankman. Peter is an author, an entrepreneur, and a very well known public speaker. Also, uh, among other things, you're the founder of Harrow, Help a Reporter Out.
I
Do you
am.
want to start out telling us about Harrow?
Yeah, Help Reporter is an idea that came to me when a lot of my friends who are journalists would constantly call me and say, "Hey, we're doing a story on whatever. Who do you know? You know everyone. We need a source." And I started taking more and more of my time, more and more of my day. So I eventually created a Facebook group where I could forward these requests from journalists to the Facebook group, and we quickly outgrew Facebook, and it became a mailing list. And now it's a three times a day mailing list that with about 60 queries from journalists per email that goes out to about 150,000, almost 200,000 actually now, sources all around the world. And it has a small little advertisement at the top, which pays for it, and it generated a lot of revenue the first 2 years, and it was actually acquired by a much larger company last year. And so it's pretty exciting. It was the best ideas are usually the ones that just start out as you helping someone, and that's
Right.
exactly what happened.
You talk in your book about the importance of sharing and being a connector and being that guy. It seems like Harrow is pretty much found on that concept. That's a major concept in it.
Yeah, Harrow's the ultimate in sharing. I mean, not only is every query helpful to someone out there, whether they're talking about knitting or books or computers, there's someone out there who knows about that. Our tagline is everyone's an expert at something.
Right.
So not only is that beneficial, but then you have the other side of it where you can also help all the people who read the query say, that doesn't fit me, but my best friend knows about knitting or frogs or grilled cheese sandwiches or whatever the case may be. So, it's one of the most forwarded emails in the world out there as well. So yeah, it really is, all good things are all about helping.
Great. As far as the idea of a new trend or a new social media idea, the way these things happen and come about, what do you think is the best way to get ahead of a trend and then get people excited about it?
I always have, everyone always tells me, how do you make something viral? How do you make something viral? And I've always said that you actually can't make anything viral. What you could do is you could make something good. Mm-hmm. And you want to focus on making something good. And if it's good, it will go viral by default. People will want to see it. They'll want to use it or tell other friends about it. Making something viral is really a waste of time. Focus on making something good that people actually want to use. And in the end of the day, it really comes down to the content. If you can create good content that people want to read or act on or use, that's the kind of stuff that's gonna blow up. People love Harrow because it's beneficial to them every single time they open it, and
Right.
that's the kind of thing you want to do.
What's the best compliment you've ever gotten from a reporter about Harrow?
Probably, I get literally every day. We have an email, success stories at helpreporter.com, and every day we get emails from journalists. Oh my God, I was 5 minutes to deadline. I was totally screwed, and we got 56 responses in 3 minutes. We love you guys, every day.
Yeah.
So it's to know that I'm making that difference, not only for the journalists, but also for the small mom and pop stores that can't afford to hire a PR agency or anything like that, and can sort of just use Harrow, and it's free, and holy cow, they can actually make money from it, and actually get something beneficial, and then get into the New York Times, and that increases their business, and they see the concept that they can that this helps them. It's nice. It's really nice to see.
Right, yeah. As far as entrepreneurs, especially in this economy, what is your advice to entrepreneurs starting out a new business in this new social media kind of world and in the economy in the state that
I
it's
think in this economy is the best time to start a small business. You can start when you have a job and the economy's great, you're not really that inclined to start a business because there's no fire under your ass. There's nothing kicking you in the butt saying, now's the time. When you're laid off or when the economy goes to hell and everyone's worried about it, then you have the ability to think, well, what do I have to lose? I might get laid off tomorrow anyway. I might as well just start my own gig. And you'll find over time that the most successful small businesses tend to have started during times of turmoil. And they're started by people who have sort of run the gamut of understanding that it's crazy and it's hard to do, but they take those risks because not taking the risk is riskier than taking the risk.
Yeah. Not taking the risk is riskier than taking the risk. Along those lines, you're a really motivated guy. You're a risk-taking kind of guy. You skydive. You run triathlons. You're very motivated. What do you think the importance of self-inspiration and passion is in the business aspect and customer service aspect of a thriving business?
I think the biggest fear anyone can have is the fear of getting into a rut. And when you're doing okay and you're making some money, and it's very easy to get complacent. Complacency leads to stagnation, and stagnation leads to failure. So you want to be able to constantly keep moving, whether that's going for a run to clear your head, or jumping out of a perfectly good airplane, or doing a triathlon or an Ironman. All this. For me, it's really about having the ability to try something different and try something new, because you never know what'll happen, and it's a way to sort of revitalize yourself, wake up, and get that excitement in your day-to-day life. Doing your job, going home, gets boring.
Right. Yeah. Kind of filling that well, kind of keeping.
Constantly having something new to do and something exciting to do. No question about it.
Right. When you're in, if you find yourself in some kind of like a service blunder, what do you think the best way to handle that is? Because this is NASA.
Let's have a cat join us for the rest of the day. I think that I've seen companies who have mistakes, who have made mistakes. The biggest thing you could do is get in front of it right away.
Right.
Get transparent about what you did. Say, hey, you know what? We screwed up, and we're going to fix this now. And we know we screwed up, and we're sorry. And here's what we're going to do to make sure it never happens again. And here's how we're going to make the people who got affected by it happy again.
Right.
And the simple act of doing that fixes 99% of the problems. The majority of big problems never start out as big problems. They start out as really small problems. And if you handle them when they're really small, they will never become big problems. And for some reason, so many big companies don't see that. Instead, they sit there and they go, oh, well, we'll just ignore it and it'll go away. Well, it's not going to go away. Especially not in today's economy where everyone is a broadcaster, everyone is a journalist, everyone has the ability to share everything. And the second they have a bad experience, they tell the whole world about it. So, you don't have the ability to just say, oh, well, ignore it. Mm-hmm. So handle it when it's a small problem and it won't become a big problem.
Right. Yeah. What are your pet peeves other than not handling it right away when a service blunder happens and you're on the other side of it, when you're the customer or consumer and you see this happening? What is the thing that drives you nuts?
I think the biggest problem is companies who don't who know that they could solve the issue in 2 seconds but just don't care. They have a Twitter account and they don't monitor it. They have a customer service line and they don't do anything when you call. It's why bother having it?
Right.
And it's just the most frustrating thing. So I'd rather see you not have any way to contact. At least I'll know not to bother you. Not to bother using your company. Mm-hmm. But I mean, a perfect example is U.S. Airways. They have a Twitter account that says, for problems, please go to our website. We are not equipped to handle problems via Twitter. What the hell do you have a Twitter account for?
Right.
What are you possibly doing on this Twitter account if not listening to your audience? You're telling your audience, hey, here's a way to contact us, but you're not allowed to use it. Like, really? So, I would say my biggest pet peeve is a severe lack of common sense.
Right.
There's just so many things we could do that for some reason we just don't bother doing, and I just don't get it.
When you say U.S. Airways, it also reminds me of you took a flight. You take flights all the time,
mm-hmm.
but can you tell us about Morton's Steakhouse? This is one of the most fantastic customer service stories I've ever heard.
I'm a big. I joke I'm a heavy Morton's user, which can be taken a multitude of ways. But I eat at Morton's a lot. I love their food. I love the steak. And when I'm in a different city, I try to go to a Morton's if there's one there. They know this. They have a phenomenal customer relationship management tool. Where they know who I am and when I come in and when I call. And I was flying back from Florida a couple weeks ago, and I was just joking. I was starving, and I jokingly sent out a tweet that said, "Hey Morton's, why don't you meet me at Newark Airport with a porterhouse when I land in 2.5 hours?" Totally joking. The way you'd send out a tweet that says, "Hey Winter, stop being so cold," or something like that. I land, I go to meet my driver, and there's another guy with the driver, and he's from Morton's, and he's carrying a porterhouse steak. I was just blown away. And what's interesting is I found out later, I wound up talking to the head of PR over at Morton's after this happened. We connected, and they sent me. They earned over close to $800,000 worth of media from this story, and that week, this happened on a Wednesday. Saturday, the first Saturday after the event, 4 days later, their New York restaurant and their Hackensack, New Jersey restaurants both were over 125% higher reservations than they had been a week ago. So I mean, it really, everyone's like, oh, well, what'd they get out of it? They got a lot out of it, and hey, I get an awesome steak. Right. So everyone wins.
Everybody's happy. And
actually, even NASA got some of that steak. Yep, everyone won that, right, Nas?
And now, do you feel in this whole idea of social media and the concept of sharing, how does Harrow embody this? Bringing it back to Harrow and bringing it all into the idea of social media, customer service, sharing, connecting. How does that embody this?
They really all, they're all in the same vein. Mm-hmm. They all really fall into the same thing. It's nothing can exist in a vacuum. Mm. Everything has to sort of work together. So the concept of Harrow being very beneficial to journalists and to sources, the concept of the sources then working with the journalists, both parties winning, the journalists getting their stuff out of it, the sources getting their stuff out of it. We're in an age now where the concept of the old school village, like back in the 50s, women would get together at sewing circles and discuss like where to get the best cuts of meat or whatever. That's come back, and that's come back via the web, via Facebook, via Twitter, where we go online and we decide what to do, not through a review in the newspaper, but through a review of what our friends think. That because we have this technology now to coordinate all this. So it really comes down to good customer service and good relationships with your customers, your clients, your friends, all of which turns into PR for whatever business you're doing. So everything's intertwined.
Right. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for taking the time today to talk with
pleasure.
us.
This was fun.
Once again, this is Mr. Peter Shankman and NASA.
And NASA.
His beautiful cat, and I'm Brianna Packin with the Distinctive Style magazine.